So I love that thought process. I mean, a morality shift based on a narrative, and when it's a morality shift based on a false narrative, that's horrific, right? I mean,
Yeah,
morality should be morality. It shouldn't shift based on the narrative, and everybody should be frightened about that concept, right? That is something that we cannot do because we've seen over history how a narrative can shift based on the power players and the people who want that narrative to shift. I mean, hell, we saw it in Nazi Germany in the early 20th century. You know, he was able to shift the narrative in a horrific fashion, and if people can all of a sudden morally justify the extermination of certain people because their morality shifted based on a narrative, well, now we are in nightmare scenario. That's nightmare territory, right? I mean, that is Holocaust territory. That's a horrible thing. You know, one of the things, Eli, that stood out to me was a quote, and I don't know if it's a quote from you or a quote from your father, but it was a quote that I had not heard before, and I really like it, and I want you to talk a little bit about it. It says, America's original sin is not slavery; it is simply the use of race as a means for power." And that means a lot to me, and it stands out to me because I want to tie it back to what you're saying, this morality shift based on a narrative, because what we're seeing a lot today, Eli, is a narrative that all these people, those people, those people in that bucket, they're all racist, or those people in that bucket, they're all oppressed, things like that. So while I agree with this statement, America's original sin is not slavery. It is simply the use of race as a means for power. We find ourselves today, in my opinion, in my experience, we find ourselves in a situation today where it's not race that's used as a position for power today, but race is used as a position for grievance today. And I think it's nearly as ugly. So talk to me a little bit about that. Give me your thoughts on that, Eli.
yes, because slavery is not original to America. So that's sort
Right.
of, yeah, we were talking about that. I mean, if you read Thomas Doyle or countless other books, even the Bible. So,
Yeah.
it's not original to us. But, the fact that, we had Bacon's Rebellion, which was like 1520 or 1540. It's in my How Jack Became Black documentary.
Hmm.
But what's fascinating about that was you had the underclass. There's all mixed. I mean, you had the first Americans were literally interracially married. They were having, relations with one another. Race was not really a thing. They were poor. They were stuffy. I
Sure.
mean, and they did not like working for these rich English aristocrats. So they
Hmm.
rebelled.
Hmm.
To give you a very short version, they rebelled, and afterwards they basically said, "We're going to divide you by race. So you poor man, you poor white man, are the same as us. You're just as good as us because of your white skin." And they push everybody else to the other side. So we literally went from a class-based society into a race-based society. And I think shortly after that, we had the first version of the one drop of black blood rule. And all of this was about power. All of this was about consolidating, keeping the white man on top, and keeping the white woman pure. And I mean, that was a symbol of superiority, was that the white woman would be pure and superior.
Hmm.
And so that
Hmm.
was the nobility, were keeping this white woman superior. I mean, so just think about that, like how that was the morality in a way, was that
Sure.
the white,
Sure.
and yeah. So these poor oversteer had the the same esteem as the owner of the plantation of the big house. So my point is that I'm just saying that's the beginning. But if you look throughout history, it's the same story playing over and over. I mean, it's just countless of them. I mean, the way even banning interracial marriage, all of that. It was all about the idea. Then the strategy was that in the civil rights movement, I mean, yes, there are many bastions of the civil rights movement, but in the one that my family comes from, the main objective was race is poison. Race is we need to get rid of the black box. We need to get rid of the white box because they're lies. The black box is that we are inferior. The white box is that they are superior. Get rid of that. Get rid
Yeah,
of that power structure. And so that's what they were marching for. But that kind of power was too irresistible to many Americans. So now today we had almost a flip. We now have the people of color on this side using race as a means to power.
right, right.
And yeah, and so it's a revenge. I mean, a way that because, or I mean, or do they really believe that that's the way to redeem the country is by racially engineering our diversity, all of that. So that's why we have this blow up over Harvard and Claudine Gay, because when we
Claudine
sit
Gay
there
and
and
the
we go, okay, yeah, I didn't know much about her. Okay, she is the black president of Harvard. Okay, big deal, whatever. But then you find out that she had written 11 papers. You see her testimony before Congress, where again, maybe her morality was different than my morality. I was like, well, why are you having such a hard time condemning it? What
why can't you why can't you condemn the idea that there's people out there that want to wipe out an entire group of, yeah, no, yeah, the
absolutely.
plagiarism is bad enough, but then not being able to condemn the idea of it, of exterminating a certain group of people based, it's like
Yeah,
good
or
grief. I
apply
mean, aren't we past that at this point?
yeah, or apply the. I mean, I think people say, "Oh, it's racism and all of that." No, it's ball. That's ball. It's about you are treating people differently. Because we know if it was another group of color, there would be assaulted on campus. There was not maybe not physically assaulted, but I mean, there was some pretty close incident. I mean, there was some incidents of touchy and stuff like that. But the point is, we live in a time where we're jump through every hoop. If there's one hint of a microaggression, oh my God, did that blonde woman touch that black guy's hair? Shut down the campus. Everybody got to go to racial sensitivity training. But when you have
Right,
people over here, yeah, over here, we should have like a mob of about 10 students going after a Jew on campus. And I don't know
right.
what they would do, hold the blank, I mean, hold the white sheet and just harass the a Jew. That's not a microaggression. I mean, that's anti-Semitism, and
That's
that's
pretty
just
damn
wrong.
aggressive, right? Yeah, that's not micro anything.
No,
It's ugly.
and she could have said, all she had to do was just say that that's absolutely wrong, and
Yeah,
and just yeah, and stand up for fairness for all American, and I think that points to the bigger problem because when we use race race, the original sin is that we use race as a means to power. When we do that, we make ourselves a race. And that's
yeah,
why I see more white people saying, well, I'm not ashamed of being white. And you just lost. That's exactly what they want you to do. They want you to think of yourself as a white guy. Because the
exactly.
whole point is,
They can mark up a point on their side of the chalkboard now because you have just played into their narrative. You played their hand. They just won that one.
exactly, and what that does is it divorces us from the American identity. And that's the whole game. So as long as we're kept in race, gender, or other immutable characteristics, we're not American.